The Prowler, Part 5. To the citizens of the West End, the people of the realm, the hierarchy, the smug bastards at the London Journal, that impostor Jack the Ripper, and the incompetent fools at Scotland Yard, last night is what happens when you mock the merchant of death. You foolishly doubted my skills, my thirst for blood, my appetite for carnage. I have left a trail of bodies strewn all over London's West End. From common to noble, every class has felt my wrath. And yet, you still belittle my accomplishments. From this day forth, if I am not shown my proper respects, then I will swiftly and mercifully dispatch said individual who tempts to mock me. My pen gently weeps for the ignorance of man and the incompetence of all involved in my apprehension. More bodies to come. Sincerely, the Prowler. The threatening letter you have just read was left at the front desk of the London Journal in the early hours this morning. It corresponds with 3 new grisly murders that transpired last evening at the Chasterley Manor after a charity dinner. We are saddened to report the deaths of Count and Countess Chasterley, along with an Abigail Stevens, a maid employed in their service. All 3 bodies were discovered in the wee hours of the evening by the head butler of the Manor Price Waterhouse. The body of the young maid was discovered first, in a guest bedroom next to the Chasterley's chambers, by Mr. Waterhouse as he made his nightly rounds. Her throat had been severed from ear to ear. After his gruesome discovery, he quickly rushed into Count Chasterley's chambers to inform them what he had just discovered, but to his dismay, he found the bodies of Count and Countess Chasterley massacred in their bed. Written above them on the wall in their own blood said, "Beat that, Jack," which Scotland Yard is assuming is a reference to Jack the Ripper. If that is the case, we the citizens that must trek these London streets and alleyways are in serious trouble if we have 2 serial killers trying to outmatch each other on the carnage count. What macabre and frightening times we find ourselves in, dear readers. Scotland Yard, we implore you to act now, and swiftly, please. The number of victims are rising. You must stop this now. Until next time, dear readers, stay safe out there. Ah, yes. Beautifully written for once, Mr. Johns. I am very, very pleased. It is quite the thrill to read one's exploits and know the fear that grips the city streets is caused by me. Speaking of the streets, it is time that I return to said streets. The origin of my bloody journey. It's been far too long since I felt the cobblestone beneath my feet. Tonight, it's back to Denmark Street. I spent the day doing familial duties regarding charitable affairs, and then secluded myself in my study and maintained my tools. I gave the surgical knife and the hatchet a heavy scrubbing after last night's carnage. They were still chunks of the Chasterleys clung to my blade. We can't have that after all. After making my instruments nice and shiny again, it was dinner, and I made an appearance at the table before I snuck off later on in the night. I ate a scrumptious meal prepared by Bernard, and spent time with the family before retiring to my chambers. I waited for the rest of the manor to retire for the evening, then made my way to the carriage that was waiting for me by the delivery entrance to the manor. As I got inside the carriage, I had a disturbing realization that one of our maids, a young innocent girl named Liza, might have spotted me as I hastily made my way to the carriage. I could have sworn I saw her fading back into a room as I was bounding down the stairs. Oh well, I'll deal with that later. I haven't the time, but I might have to dispose of the family maid at a later point. But for now I must concentrate. I must get my mind in the proper frame. The hunt is about to begin. James dropped me off near the corner of Denmark Street and waited for me on Charing Cross Road. I immediately noticed when I stepped out of the carriage, the visibility level was non-existent. It was thick as pea soup out tonight, perfect for murder. But it might drive the people off the streets. I stood there for a moment. I was home. This was where it all began. I breathed the cool, foggy air. A combination of freshly strewn chamber pots and meat pies permeated my nostrils as I clung to the wall, making my way down Denmark Street. As I feared, the thick fog has kept the people off the streets tonight. I'm going to have to work hard for my prey this evening, I thought. But as I turned the corner, I heard voices in the near distance. It sounded like a shop owner was closing for the night, and he was saying good night to the Constable Wilkins. I know that name from somewhere. I racked my brain trying to come up with it, and I believe it's the bastard that discovered my first victim. What a feather it would be in my top hat to strike a blow to Scotland Yard. I waited for the shop owner to leave, and I followed the constable. Thankfully, the fog was thick, and I stalked him from the shadows, because he stood there for a few moments, then turned around and began to walk towards me. I waited for him to approach me. I sat my bag down and retrieved my knife quickly and quietly. I gripped it tightly in my gloved hand as he crept closer, and the first thing he saw when he emerged from the fog was my blade slash across his eyes. He fell to his knees and writhed in pain. I kneed him in his head, and he collapsed on his side, screaming out in pain, screaming out for help. I kicked him hard in his ribs, feeling a few of them shatter as I did so. I then quickly knelt down and dispatched this foul-smelling do-gooder by plunging my blade into the top of his skull. I cut out his eyes as my trophies and quickly made my way to James in the carriage. I could not help but to have a wide, mischievous grin plastered upon my face. But I continue to up the stakes. Now the police have felt my wrath, and there's nothing they can do about it. Now the protectors need protecting. I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the special friends of the channel. Your generosity means the world to me. If you would like to support the channel, the link is below in the description. Also, please send me your stories to duchessofdarkness27@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at duchess.ofdarkness or Twitter at duchessofdarkn2. I want to thank you all for your support, your kindness, and your encouragement. I appreciate it so very much. Until next time.